Here are 3 players to watch in the NCAA tournament that if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Everyone just loves New Mexico to upset number 6, have the potential to go at least one more round. Deron Holmes, Shahade Wells, and Enrique Freeman, 3 players you have to know about. That, my friend, is a mimosa to Southern Utah for hitting their half-court buzzer beater last night, giving us a 2-0 night, giving us 7 straight picks correct. And finally, it's nice to see those even out, huh? When they go the other way and we get one for us. Mike Randle here with you, FTN College Basketball Betting Show. You see the ticker on the bottom. You want to join FTN Fantasy. College baseball's in full effect. The early bird special's over, but you can still get in. The manifesto's dropping today. Vlad Sedler Baseball. I am back into baseball the first time in God knows how long, simply because of the content we have here at FTN. NBA, all your DFS stuff, all the videos, everything you need, Discord, the picks, the models, everything you want. You're going to join us here at FTN. You're going to want to do it. The show is doing really well. We go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. Today we are going at this time, which is great. I think Thursday will actually probably be in the morning as well, because I'm on Sirius on Thursday again, switching up a little bit. So we're ready to go. College basketball. Listen, right now is finals week. Right now, there aren't a lot of kids on campus. It's sort of a shaky time. The slates are okay. You don't want to overcommit yourself to any one particular slate. But we found some games today that I want to talk about. First off, what have we learned? Folks, Northern Iowa is a problem. And I love, you know, this show, I love the small school coaches that end up doing very well, that have been there for sustained success. Call it the Mark Few model, if you will. And Northern Iowa with Ben Jacobson is one of them. And one of the trends, and this is about noticing trends because we can see advantages here, is that Northern Iowa is absolutely scalding hot. For a team that plays at a very slow pace, and they certainly do, they're 311th in KenPom per adjusted tempo, they are putting up major numbers. 83 points against Illinois Chicago in the first Missouri Valley Conference game of the year. 101 points against Northern Illinois, 78 points against Nebraska Omaha, and 104 points against a well-coached Montana team that does not want to play fast. That is impressive. So Northern Iowa looking really, really strong. They lost to North Texas on a neutral. They lost to St. Bonaventure, but they have taken care of business otherwise. Number 1 in the country in effective field goal percentage. Northern Iowa is a team that we're going to look to back as the season goes on. They are flying under the radar in the Missouri Valley. Everyone thought Bradley was going to win there. I see Bradley as a tick worse than they normally are. They are not as dominant. You know, Bradley at home is always great. But right now, if I had to make a pick, I'd go with Northern Iowa. They're looking really good. The Bonnies are also a problem. You know, Mark Schmidt had an opportunity to go to my alma mater, Boston College, from all reports, and decided not to, and I get it. He has himself a great, great situation up at St. Bonaventure, New York. They are 10-1, and their only loss was on a neutral to a really good Utah State team, and there's no shame in that. They went into they played Providence on a neutral in that matchup, which was in Uncasville, Connecticut, and they beat them 74-70, and that's with Bryce Hopkins being back there. So they've had a nice run. They have not played the toughest schedule, but they have a big game today. I think this team is really good, St. Bonaventure. They are a very under-the-radar, small school team that is always well-coached, and I think is ready to go again. So they're very good. And today we have a Florida statement game, which we'll talk about. Florida looks really good. Florida has size. Florida shoots threes. Walter Clayton's been outstanding. They're 58% from inside the arc. That's top 30. They're defending at a very high rate. They're also fantastic on the offensive glass. The whole thing with Todd Golden off the court seems to have disappeared, and this team looks very strong. They beat a good Arizona State team by 17 on that neutral court game on Saturday in Atlanta. They beat Virginia, Wichita State, Florida State. So some decent teams. They are tested tonight against North Carolina, and oh, by the way, North Florida right after that. And then they start their SEC schedule, and this is a rough start. At Kentucky, home Tennessee, away Arkansas. That's quite a start, so we're going to learn a lot about them as well. Last one I have for you here is Dayton is explosive. Dayton looks like the best team in the A-10. They are right up there in the A-10, and they look extremely good. I think the matchup between them and St. Bonaventure is just going to be outstanding. I put both those teams ahead of VCU and teams like that. But Anthony Grant has it going on. They're 9-2. They lost on the neutral court out there in the Maui Invitational to North Carolina in a game that they almost won. And then they gave Iowa State all they could handle in that matchup. And Iowa State, to me, is a national champion contender. So Dayton looks explosive, 38% from three-point range, and they were losing at home to Marquette and came back and blitzed them. The question is, are they going to be looking ahead to Cincinnati, which is the matchup on Friday when they have their game tonight against UNLV? Let's get to the comments before we get to the picks. As always, let's see who we got. Yeah, Lefty, that's good to hear. And I assume you're rooting for Michigan State, but I got some thoughts on that game, Lefty. We appreciate it. Trevor back in the house. Jameson, as always, you are the man. Yeah, I don't know about that, Trevor. I get it, and I understand, but I think St. Bonaventure is really good. It reminds me of the Iowa State game. Remember? Iowa at home, getting 6.5, 5.5, whatever you got it at. But if the other team is really good, they can find a way to cover. That's the question. Josh Worth in the house. Appreciate you. Alex Condon ends the Hubert Davis era. It could. A Crossaw. 2, 3, 4. Let's go 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. It could happen. It could really happen in Charlotte tonight. Pour one out for 8. Who's HD? I don't know who HD is. I'm not sure who that is. And Ben, great to see you, buddy, in the house. Ben here. Okay, here we go. The key is not to go too nuts with these games. So again, you could do half units on this if you're not sure. There are some interesting games today, but yesterday only 2. You don't want to force a pick, but here are my thoughts. This pick is based on, yes, I love North Florida. You're well aware of that. But the other reason is these two teams played a couple weeks ago. And as we learned last year with these home and home series where two teams play, oftentimes it's hard to win both. So these two teams played back on Monday, November 18th. Now, that was at North Florida, and Asheville won 89-75 going away. But I think these two teams are very close. North Florida, not great from the free throw line, 62%. UNC Asheville, not great from the free throw line, 68%. Now, they do defend the three well, UNC Asheville, but they also are not great on the boards, and they're not great inside the arc, and they really have benefited from teams shooting 67% from the free throw line. This is the topsy-turvy one. I am taking North Florida and the 3.5, and it ticked up a little bit. I am going here with North Florida plus 3.5. I don't think UNC Asheville will sweep North Florida. I think, most of the time, I think it'll be the split, which is what most of these games are when these teams play home and home. And just because they didn't win at home, I don't think makes a difference. Here we go. Next one. DePaul's okay. And Chris Holtman's done a great job. I just think St. John's is the best team in the Big East. And I think they're going to win the Big East. And I don't think this is a sleepy spot. They had the Bryant game. They had the Kansas State game with the Lou Carnesecca passing and a celebration. There's a lot of emotion there. And they ended up pulling away in the second half, 88-71. They had the Bryant game. And Bryant gave them a game getting up and down, hitting some shots. Pinzone was pretty good. And they pulled away in the second half, 99-77. And DePaul is going to be game. They're going to hit some threes. They're going to be fired up. They're going to want to win their Big East opener. And St. John's will pull away in the second half. So I have St. John's minus 12.5 here against DePaul. It is a sleepy spot for Dayton, but I think Dayton is that good. And I'm not going to, you guys know I am much better with underdogs than I am with favorites, for sure. The record proves that. But I think Dayton here is going to be fine against UNLV. It is home. It's down to 10.5. Ken Pom has it at 13. They're shooting well. They don't turn the ball over. They're great on the defensive boards. And UNLV is going to have to come in. UNLV gets killed. They get eviscerated, UNLV, from three-point range. They're allowing 37% from three-point range. That is not good against Dayton. I get it. Dayton has Cincinnati in a semi-away game that's going to be in Cincinnati, Ohio on Friday. I get it. Could be a look-ahead spot. I don't care. I think Dayton is better, and I'm taking them here. I do not think there is a chance that UNLV wins this game. I'll run the risk that UNLV covers a backdoor cover of 10.5. Numbers tick down. I don't care. We're going with it. This pick is based on the fact that these two teams have been off for quite a while. So I think it's going to start off very slow. Wake Forest has not played in 10 days. Their last game was Boston College on Saturday, December 6th. And, oh, by the way, that was just 138 points at home. James Madison hasn't played in 10 games. Now they're going away. They played Utah Valley on Saturday, December 7th. So I think this one is going to be a little slower. Now, Wake Forest is playing, and it's noticeable, a lot slower than it normally does. Under Steve Forbes, they normally got up and down the floor. They've been top 60 in pace the last couple of years. This year, they are 257th. They are not making threes. They are defending well inside the arc. They're forcing turnovers. They're okay from the free throw line. So this is one that I think people haven't noticed yet, that I think Wake is playing a lot slower than they normally are. And I think Wake and JMU will come out rusty after 10 days off. And I'm taking the under 136.5. George Mason gets up for these games. And I don't like Duke and I don't like Shire. I think they're fine and I think they're really good. But my view on Duke is similar to my view on UConn. I don't think they're making the Final Four. I think they are a Sweet 16, Elite 18. And they didn't cover Incarnate Word at home, which we got right. They did play well against Louisville. They did beat Auburn. Those were good games. And they can play well. But this is sandwiched between the Louisville game where they started off 1-0 in the ACC and the Georgia Tech game where they're going away. So they're about to hit their ACC schedule, haven't played in a week. Here comes George Mason. This game is much bigger for George Mason than it is for Duke. George Mason's won 5 straight games. They won away at James Madison. They beat UNC Asheville at home by 22. They beat Tulane. They're great at defending the three. They're number 4 in the country in effective field goal percentage allowed, and they're very good on offense. The problem is they turn the ball over, except on the flip side, I don't know if Duke is going to be able to turn them over a lot with their bigs. I don't. 19.5 is a lot. I'm going to take George Mason. No one's going to take George Mason in this game. There's always the Duke influence. You can see this line getting up to 21. I'll take George Mason. And the 19.5 under Tony Skinn. South Carolina, Clemson. I'm always going to take in a rivalry game within the state, the home underdog. It is an automatic play for me, with the exception of Iowa State, because I thought Iowa State is a special team that can win the national title. I don't think that's the case with Clemson. Clemson had some issues in the game against Memphis. They struggled. They don't break you down off the dribble. I do think Chase Hunter is one of the most underrated players in college basketball, but South Carolina likes to muck it up, and they play really solid defense. So I will take South Carolina at home here against Clemson. Not that they are that great, but they will get up for this game. I am not taking a Clemson team on the road and laying points that really is relying on the three, but struggled with the three against Memphis. They play well. They play good defense, but I'm going to take a rivalry intrastate game at home, getting points every single time. I believe in Greg Kampe, and I know I faded Michigan State a couple times, but Greg Kampe can be a real pain in the rear. They played last year. They won by 17, Michigan State. Oakland covered. They played at home a couple years ago. It was only 13. Oakland covered. They played Oakland on a neutral. They won by 12. Oakland covered. You get the picture here? Oakland can hang around. They won 109-91. Oakland gets up for this game. This is a big game in Michigan. I don't trust Michigan State. This game is actually on a neutral in Detroit. So it's 16 points, but I think Oakland plays well. Michigan State is not shooting well from three-point range. Neither is Oakland. It's just a rivalry game. I would only go a half unit on this game because it is at a neutral. I think Oakland covers the 16.5. They always get up and they play well for this game. And Kampe comes up something with the zone, and his zone will cause Michigan State problems because they're not shooting the three well. So I'll take the 16.5. Small play there. Winter was very hot, and now they're traveling to Florida State, who I don't trust at all. Florida State 8-3 this year, lost to LSU away, lost to North Carolina State away. That should not have happened. And they beat Tulane, but that game on a neutral was way too close. Winthrop likes to get up and down the floor. They like to force turnovers. Florida State's offense can be anemic under Leonard Hamilton. We know that. They have won 5 straight games. They played Louisville away, and they battled in that one. I like this Winthrop team and Mark Prosser. Great at forcing turnovers. They struggle on offense, but I think they can generate enough turnovers to keep this one close. I will take Winthrop plus 11. Yes, this is against my theory, but I do think St. Bonaventure is really good. The Bonnies are excellent. And I don't think they get tripped up against Jerry McNamara and Siena. The game is away. It's at Siena. There's no look ahead. They have Niagara at home. They're coming off the Providence win. Siena has lost 5 of their last 7. They did win away at Canisius, but that was way too close, and Canisius is god-awful. They lost away at Niagara. They are home in this matchup. They have played well at home, but it's not like they've blown people out. They beat Brown by 1. They beat American by 8. This is a good St. Bonaventure team. I think they're a buzzsaw. I think Mark Schmidt is great. I think the Woj effect is real. I think they are better. This is not a pick I normally make. You know that because it is a New York rivalry game on the road, laying points, but I'm doing it with St. Bonaventure because I think they're really good. Don't believe in Hubert Davis. Don't believe in North Carolina. I do think Florida is due for regression. So if you want to go half unit here, that's fine. They are perfect 10-0. But Todd Golden wants this game. The game is in Charlotte. It is not in North Carolina. It's not on North Carolina's campus in the Dean Dome. It is in Charlotte. I usually take the better team in that situation unless the spread is high. It is not high here. I think Florida is better. Hubert Davis, home win over LaSalle, but it was close. Barely beat Georgia Tech at home. Lost to Bama bad. Lost to Michigan State. Lost to Auburn. I'm not impressed with this team. RJ Davis could go nuts. I think Florida will have an answer, and I think Florida has a better coach. I will take Florida -3.5. Drake has been phenomenal. Drake is due for a regression. I don't see Drake getting that regression here on the road at Kansas State. Drake is a perfect 9-0. They have Green Bay coming up, so that's not a look-ahead spot. This is a semi-away game. It is not actually in Kansas State. It is in Kansas City, so you don't have to worry about being in the Octagon of Doom. I'm going to take the better team there, especially when the spread is low. It's 2. It was 2.5. It may be 1 very soon, and Drake could even be favored. Kansas State going through some things right now. They lost the St. John's game. Achor is off the team. They've had some problems. Brandon Hausen is either on fire or he struggles. I'm not impressed with Coleman Hawkins. He looks out of shape to me. He got to the team very late this year. I think Kansas State is going through it. This is a semi-home game. It is, but not on campus. Drake, the better team, +2 with the incredible job that Ben McCollum has done here. Really impressed with what Ben McCollum has done with his Division II players. They're great at forcing turnovers. They're great defending the 3. I think they win this game comfortably. You know my deal with big spreads. I'm not going to lay 38.5 points against anyone. If you want to take Auburn, that's fine. I'm always going to take 38.5 points. It's too many points. Auburn could win by 35. Half unit, fine. I'm never laying big spreads in college basketball. I don't want to lay 40. I don't want to lay 45. I don't want to lay 38. Auburn's going to crush them. Can Georgia State keep it close within 38? I think so. So I'm taking them. Is Lamar good? I think Lamar is pretty good. And Lamar has impressed me here so far. They covered against Louisiana. They won that game by 30 points. A good Louisiana team that's well coached. I mean, they struggled this year, but they're always well coached. You beat Louisiana and Bob Marlin by 30 points. That raises the eyebrows. They went on the road and beat UT Rio Grande Valley, who I think is good and has made some money for us this year. They beat them by 32. They went on the road to Louisiana, and they won that game by 29. Now they're playing Southern Miss. It's only 3.5. Southern Miss is a better team than Louisiana, but I don't think they're that much better. Could Lamar be looking ahead to Texas Tech? Absolutely. If this number was 5.5, would I touch it? Absolutely not. But I'm good at 3.5. I'm going to lay 3.5 points there. Only half unit for this one. Ohio State, I can't figure out. They're one of the teams that I put up on the last Saturday show that I said I'm still trying to figure out if they're good or not. They've lost 3 of their last 4. They play Rutgers at home and won by 14. This should be a destruction over Valpo. It really should. But they have Kentucky on a neutral coming up. And I'm not sure if Jake Diebler is just getting a little regression right now. Roger Powell's team is great from the free throw line, and they don't turn it over. This is Roger Powell with his Valpo team that took them from the doldrums of 3-17 last year after taking over. And he's now at 5-4, and they're competing well. And in their first game in the Missouri Valley, they only lost to Drake at home by 6. So they're playing better. It's a lot of points. This one could be a blowout, so you want to go half unit again. But I do like Valpo. And whenever I like the underdog in a spot like this against a team that I'm not sure is really good, I'm going to take the points. This line is entirely too high. And I love Colorado State. And I love Nico Medved. But Radford is a well-coached, disciplined team under Darius Nichols. This is too many points. And I know that Colorado State at home is a buzzsaw, but this is a team that's played away at Clemson. This is a team that played away at Pittsburgh. This is a team that played away at Utah. They're not going to be intimidated in this spot. They have nothing coming up, whereas Colorado State starts this Saturday, the Mountain West Conference, away at Nevada. So talk about a look-ahead spot. Colorado State's lost the last 2 games. They lost to Colorado away, and they lost to VCU on a neutral. That you will get their best effort here. But I think Radford is up for the task. And I think Radford getting 11.5 with a really good coach is a great spot. This is not Stan Johnson. This is not Loyola Marymount where they went and they rolled them. Radford is a lot better than them, I think. And I think Radford keeps it close here under Darius Nichols and is very well coached. They're great on the boards. They don't beat themselves, and they defend inside the arc. The concern is whether Colorado State gets on fire from three-point range. They're only shooting 30%. I don't think it's going to happen. Small wager here. Utah State regression time coming. I love Utah State. And what they've been doing this year is great. They are a perfect 10-0 under Jared Calhoun, who came over to the program from Youngstown State, had a lot of success there, multiple 20-win seasons. They're now a perfect 10-0. They go away to St. Mary's and they go away to San Diego State their next 2 games. UC San Diego has played very well. And in the Big West, they're one of the favorites in the Big West. They have won 7 straight games. They won their 2 games, both away and home in the Big West Conference. They are great at forcing turnovers, one of the top 5 teams in the nation at forcing turnovers, and they don't give the ball up. They're also great on the defensive boards. They get killed from 3-point range, which is a slight concern against Utah State, but Utah State not shooting great from 3-point range and has really benefited from teams only shooting 62% from the free throw line against them. Sleepy spot. A lot of money going to be on Utah State here. I'll take UC San Diego. I'll take the Tritons here with Eric Olin with a 7-game winning streak on the road, getting some points here in a sleepy spot for Utah State. Joey, I'm sorry. Stetson stinks. I've gone with them a bunch of times, but they stink. LSU is the classic team this year that's going to beat up on these small schools, and that's what they're going to do. LSU is coming off a loss. They don't have a look-ahead game to New Orleans. They are great at defending the 3. They are great defensively under Matt McMahon. They're great inside the arc. They're great on the offensive boards. All of that adds up to a bad match for Stetson, who is 1-9, and the only win they have this year was the opening game on Monday, November 4th against New College, Florida, which is not even a Division I program. They lost to FIU at home by 9. They lost to South Florida away by 2. South Florida, of course, struggling. They lost to LaSalle on a neutral by 15. They gave up 92 points to LaSalle. What is LSU going to do tonight? LSU could get to 100. They're terrible against the 3. They're terrible at forcing turnovers. They don't force any turnovers. They give a ton of turnovers. It's just a rebuilding year for Donnie Jones, which is okay. We can deal with that because Stetson had such a wonderful year last year, so we are going with them. And Oregon State, I mentioned last time, one of the best teams against the spread that no one has talked about this year. They're not going to be sleepy against Sacramento State. They've won 3 straight games. They have Charleston on a neutral coming up, but they're not starting the WCC schedule yet. Wayne Tinkle has done a great job. They're shooting 38% from 3-point range. They battled North Texas. They battled Oregon at home. That was a great game. They did cover there. They've put up 90 points, 78 points. They're putting a lot of points up. They play at a slow pace, but Sacramento State is 2-8 and is horrific at giving turnovers, cannot score, cannot make their free throws. We've seen this before. They played away at Denver and lost by 21. They lost to Denver away at 21, but they can't lose to Oregon State by 30. I think they can. Oregon State minus 20.5. Those are the picks for today. Let's get to the comments. Let's see. Terps by 50. I was looking at Dream on this one. I was looking at the under team total for their opponent because I never trust them to score. But I was looking at Dream the under. They're playing, St. Francis at home. I will look at that team total. I may put it in Discord because I think their defense is legit and they are king of the little people, Maryland. They're going to beat up on a cruddy St. Francis team. So I kind of I don't know about the under because I think they can score and I think they can put points up, but I like the under for St. Francis. I don't think St. Francis is going to get there. I agree, Lefty, with MSU. I'm taking Oakland as well. I'm glad you're on the same side. Trevor, I'm fine with the Paul first half. Yeah, I get it. That's fine. I have no problem with that. I do like St. John's. I think their rep is that they just pull away, and I think they will pull away yet again. They did. It's at a neutral, so I'd be careful with the under. It's not in Michigan State, but they have been shooting better. I get it. It's 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, not an NC State guy. I'm just not an NC. I'm not. I can't get there. Yeah, I get it, Trevor. I do. I think it's a sleepy spot. I wouldn't be surprised if Siena gets up early, but Siena doesn't have a lot of talent. So if you want to tell me that Siena's up 12-6, sure, I can buy it. And I would live line St. Bonaventure. But I just think St. Bonaventure is really good, just like Iowa State is good. And I think they will find a way to get ahead in the second half and put the pedal to the metal and bury Siena. I do. I get it. And it's not a great spot because Trevor, I normally go the other way, but I'm going with them here. Keats owns maybe he does because FSU really struggles. And I like Kevin Keats. I think he's a good coach. 2, 3, 4. I do. Just don't like this spot. Yeah, Lefty, I thought about Bob Morris. I think I stayed away. Let me take a look. I did see that game. Bobby Morris lost 3 straight games. They're now home against Towson. They're favored by 1, I guess. Maybe it is. They lost Purdue Fort Wayne away. That was a close game. They're playing better. They are playing better. They lost Ohio away, got blown out. Youngstown State, they're getting better. I had no feeling there either way with Andrew Toole. Townsend with Pat Scarry is always will coach. They lost 5 straight games. You're not nervous here about Pat Scarry losing 5 straight games? It's not my thing. Bobby, thank you. I'll take the 13.5 with Radford. Appreciate you, brother. I like that Radford play a lot. Yeah, Radford's tough. And Colorado State is really great at home, and they're coming off a couple losses, so they'll be ready to go. It's just Radford is good in these spots. Darius Nichols does a good job. They're disciplined. They play well. They'll control the pace. They won't hurt themselves. A lot of points. Trevor, well, one of us will be right. Hopefully one of us will be right. I get it, Trevor, because we've made a lot of money on betting things like Siena. We have getting the points. A lot of these will be, you'll see in the Discord, Trevor, a lot of them will be a half unit play today because you don't want to force picks. There are picks that I like, but you don't want to go overboard in these games because you don't have a strong feeling. When you do have a strong feeling, that's really where you hammer it. So pay attention in the Discord to see which ones are a half unit and which ones are the full unit. All right, guys, I'm out of here. 11:30, got to get ready for the Sirius show. Come join me on Sirius XM, channel 87, Fantasy Football, 1 to 3 with the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez. Make sure you sign up here at FTN Fantasy. Our baseball packages are flying off the shelf. So many great things. You want to get involved in the Discord, be part of the community. Remember, December is coming soon. And once December comes, it's January. And when January comes, it's college basketball time. So as always, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you guys so much. We'll be back here on Thursday. And as always, FTN Fantasy, we find you the edge. Here are 3 players to watch in the NCAA tournament that if you don't know, you better ask somebody.